everybody, it's Doug Schauf with Remax Oceanside and Make Maine Your Home.com. In this week's episode, we're going to talk about 3 real estate secrets. Let's do this. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for watching. Again, today we're going to talk about 3 real estate secrets. I don't know if they're really secrets or not, but, it's kind of 3 things that are like, I get a lot of questions and it seems like they're secrets. I'm going to dive right in here. Number 1, you don't need 20% down to finance a home. I get that a lot. I'm kind of surprised how many people think that you need a full 20% down, to buy a home. I understand it because, if you're not like me in it day in and day out, or not paying attention, to lending and mortgages as much as professionals are. But I'm still surprised because it's pretty easy to find out that don't really need 20% down. There's a lot of programs out there that even no money down. There's some out there. 3.5% down is, FHA financing. Even conventional loans now, I think, have some 5% or even less than 5% down. So you can buy a house with a lot less money than 20% down. That's kind of one secret here that I want to make sure, or one, question that I get answered, because I get that a lot. People are like, oh, geez, I got to save up 20%. I'm like, well, hold on a minute. You don't necessarily need to save up 20%. Maybe 5% could work out for you, especially with the way interest rates are so low right now. That's number 1. You don't need 20% down to buy a home. All right, so number 2. So I get this a lot. Whenever I'm working with buyers, how do you get paid? What do I got to pay you? All right. So the good thing is in most cases, my buyers don't pay me anything. So how it works out is when a house is listed for sale, and they're using a broker, which most houses use a broker, that broker is charging that person a percentage. Whatever percentage that is, they take a certain amount of that commission is that they're charging the seller, and a certain amount of that commission is slated towards the buyer broker. All right, so us as buyer brokers, we get paid by the seller or the listing broker that has the property listed. In many cases, my buyers, I always tell people, you need a buyer broker to be on, working for you, to be working on your behalf, because that money's already there. It's already negotiated. If you don't use a buyer broker, that listing broker gets that whole commission. And there's no reason for it. You might as well use, it's slated for you. You might as well use that benefit. That's what it's there for. So buyer brokers typically get paid that way. All right. And I highly recommend using a buyer broker. There's no reason not to have somebody in your corner or professional that can guide you through the whole process. The only time that I have to talk to my buyers about paying me is if there's a house listed for sale without a broker. Like we call them for sale by owners. It also happens in this market. Like if I'm just out trying to find you a house, knocking on doors saying, hey, do you want to sell your house? I got buyers. That person might say, yeah. And then that person doesn't have a broker. So now I am, I got to get paid somehow. And that's always talked about upfront when you're signing a broker agreement with your buyer broker. That should be talked about. Most sales happen when there's a broker on both sides and the commission is split up in some way. And that's how we get paid. So that's number 2. The buyer broker gets paid by the listing broker and the seller out of the seller proceeds. So there's no reason not to use a buyer broker. So anyway, number 3, I wrote down here for number 3, getting your house ready to sell. It's not that hard. Okay. It can be like a decent amount of work and all that kind of stuff. But what goes into getting your house ready to sell is just kind of like decluttering, staging, things like that. I've done videos about this as well. You can check all that information out. But really what I wanted to touch on was like, everybody's like, whenever they got to sell their house, they're like, oh my God, I got to do this. I got to redo the kitchen. I got to redo the bathroom. I got to redo this, redo that. It's not necessarily the case. I recently did a video about some projects that will add value right before you sell. I recommend watching that. It's not that bad. You don't have to do all that work to get the house ready for sale. Usually what I recommend is just working on tidying up. I have a stager friend of mine that, does a lot of work for me. And he says, basically we want to get the house ready as if you were having like the Queen of England over for a tea party. you want it to look like that. It doesn't necessarily, all the projects don't have to be done. The kitchen doesn't have to be remodeled, bathroom, all that kind of stuff. You know, even in some cases, the roof doesn't even have to be done, even if it's old and, you know, on the verge of leaking. You know, oftentimes you can negotiate your way through that kind of stuff, and you don't need to do it all. You just need to get ready to move and get the house ready that way. So number 3, the secret is you don't have to do all those projects to get your house ready to sell. Anyway, those are the 3 secrets. Shh, don't tell anybody. For real estate. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully it was some good information. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, comment below. Send me an email. Hit me up on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn, wherever you want. And remember, if you make Maine your home, you don't have to do it alone.
Really good. I'm very glad I took the ramp.